Well,
Jackless.
I'm glad. I'm also Jack.
I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are Glib Shark. So this is the, I guess, official recorded inaugural episode of us at our new time of 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Mountain, and 6 p.m. Pacific.
Yay, all the time zones.
Exactly. We're going to talk to Lauren for the first half of the show, and for the second half, we actually have her husband Luke McKay joining us, answering some questions from his Patreon. So that'll be exciting. They're going to tag each other in like a tag team podcast. I think for the first time in the history of our show, we're actually handing off from one married couple to the other, half the married couple to the other.
Uh, yeah, because I think he's been on Glib Shark a bunch before, but it's always been either us at the same time or just him or just me. But I have to run and go to a rehearsal, so I can only stay for about 20 minutes. And so he's just literally going to take my spot.
So let's dive into it. Let's not waste any time or dilly dally any further. We have the lovely, the talented, the amazing Oboe Crazy. Are you here to do a little something?
Uh, well, I'm here to do 20 minutes, but I really only have one This Week in Geek thing, which is unfortunately not a funny thing, but it's something we got to talk about. It's something that just happened today. Congress just sold your browsing history. Yeah, that's right. The House of Representatives voted today to repeal rules preventing internet service providers from selling their customers' web browsing and app usage data without explicit consent. This is the same bill that the Senate passed last week, and all that's left is for President Trump to sign it, and he's probably gonna. So the rule would have required ISPs to get explicit opt-in consent from customers before selling their sensitive data, which includes web browsing history and app usage data. That rule hasn't gone into effect yet, and the Federal Communications Commission Chairman Ajit Pai stopped the first provision, which would have required ISPs to keep customer data secure. That was stopped from going into effect earlier this month. So without these rules, Dallas Harris, a policy fellow at the privacy advocacy group known as Public Knowledge, said, quote, "There will be no strong federal protection for consumers when it comes to how their ISP can use their information," end quote, which basically means your ISP can sell to advertisers any of the information that they have. They're still supposed to keep it in lockdown, and there's still supposed to be a way that you can opt out of that kind of thing. But before, it was going to be the kind of thing where it was automatically opted out and you had to opt in, and they couldn't do it without actually explicitly asking you. And now they can just do it. So what's your best bet? Well, first, go to your ISP's website and see if you can still opt out without having your data sold. You may have to look into getting a VPN, which is a private network that routes all traffic through its servers, though you want to be careful about picking the right one. And, you may want to look into other ISPs if that's even a possibility. The United States is still one of those places in where most of the country, there's a monopoly when it comes to having an internet service provider. So that can suck. There's really not much to say. I mean, this whole thing just sucks. There's nobody who really likes this except for the people who run the ISPs and the people who want to advertise to you. That's it. And the interesting thing is, I saw a GoFundMe appear that is trying to raise enough money to apparently purchase all of the information for all of the members of Congress who voted for this bill. Because once it gets signed and ISPs can legally sell your information, then you can legally buy the information of anybody, including the members of Congress who signed for it, which is an interesting concept. I think they were asking for $50 million because it's probably a lot of money. And there were, unfortunately, a lot of Republicans who voted for this. But I think it would be interesting to see what would happen if suddenly the people who voted for this bill, either because they don't know exactly what it is, or because they were just following along party lines, or because they're, whatever their reasoning is, suddenly found out that all of their browsing history and all of their app usage has been sold. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Who knows if they'll actually come up with the money, but that could be an interesting thing. I wish this was good news. I wish I was just like, yay, but you know what? You need to know. And we are an internet podcast, and this is the internet. And now, of course, my ISP is going to be selling all of this information to advertisers. Yay! That's all for This Week in Geek. I'm Obo Crazy, and I am apparently cheap.
The world is indeed a strange place. You think so too. I read your browser history, which was I bought recently. You can if you have a fact that you want read live and on the air, you can send an email to Lauren at obocrazy.com. That's Lauren at obocrazy.com. And she'll read it live and on the air. We love user-submitted facts. And while you're at it, go to glibshark.com, full of episodes of Dungeons & Dragons and Drunks, classic Budcast, classic Jenga Jam, and current Glib Shark. That covers all of our products, right?
So far.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit of Mass Effect Andromeda, shall we?
Oh, wait, hold on. I have to play some more Sudoku. So pardon me a moment.
Okay, so I was just talking about one of my friends about this, and I think that puzzle mechanic is kind of refreshing because it's not an entire Sudoku puzzle. It's just a little bit, and for me, it was how quick can I do it, which is pretty fucking fast.
Yeah.
But I actually appreciated that quite a bit. I think
my problem with it is that it gets old fast, for me anyway.
I've only done like a couple. I must be doing something wrong.
No, I don't think you are. I have also only played still, I think I'm 12 hours into it, 13 hours in. So I can't even really say I'm that far, but like by the second or third one that I had to be jumping around on pillars to try to find all the glyphs so that I could play Sudoku, I was just like, why? Why am I playing? Why would an advanced alien race have a puzzle that you have to figure out in order to unlock their computer and then put half the answer for the puzzle just like on glyphs on the thing you're trying to unlock? And then you have to do a jumping puzzle in order to play the Sudoku puzzle.
But to be fair, what's an example of a mini puzzle game in Mass Effect that's actually been really good? Like, I didn't like Towers of Hanoi. The Mass Effect 2 thing has got old really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've seen one.
I didn't mind the hacking matching deal in, what was it, 3, where you had to find the different lines of code. I didn't much mind that one. Was that 2? I don't remember.
Yeah. I mean, 2 wasn't bad. I mean, I don't mind the Sudoku. I mean, it's like it's a little mini puzzle game, and
Well, I wanted to talk about some broader subjects about Mass Effect while we have Obo here.
Sure.
So I started up the game, and I had already heard from people who had been playing the early access stuff about like the facial animations. I'd seen GIFs on Reddit about some of the movement. There's one moment where Cora is walking away from you, and she's got this like weird like duck movement. It was bizarre, and all of that was there when I started it up. My face when I made it, and I don't know about you guys, but I found a face in the custom creator that I really liked, and then when motion was put to it, it looked fucking weird.
Yeah. Mine looks okay. I don't tend to go crazy with the customization. I find a preset and then I do a little bit of altering. So I think that might have helped. And the alterations I did were basically coloration, and I don't think I moved anything. So that, I think using a preset probably helped.
I did use a preset, and I did the same thing. I used a preset, and then like you, I made him brown, I changed his hair, and I added a tattoo. And I made his eyes green. The thing that got me was the mouth, especially when my guy smiled. Like looking at him, just looking at him, he looked fine. And most of the time, especially now that I'm have this much playtime in the game, he looks okay. It's just when he smiles, he's got this weird like just moving the upper lip smile, like, and I'm just like, what? That does like you like I did not mess with his mouth at all, and I wish I had, because maybe it would be better.
Maybe. I don't know if anybody's actually figured anything out with that, but yeah, it hasn't bothered me as much as a lot of people, and now that I've done a lot more of the talking in this game, I don't know if I'm getting used to it or if it just really doesn't bother me as much. But yeah, I can like objectively I'll look at it, and especially when something happens and Ryder is supposed to be reacting to it, her reactions are anime eyes, and that's about it. I can't really decipher most of her reactions except for anime eyes. That's it.
I mean, I did a custom rider too. Made him look like me as much as possible. My wife insists he looks nothing like me. Uh, but yeah, I didn't think it was that bad. Probably because I didn't mess too much with the mouth or do too much custom stuff. But it might be that I'm just used to how he looks. And maybe it looked weird to me at first, but I've just sort of internalized that that's just how this character moves. And
Well, here's the thing. So I recognize that this game has all kinds of technical problems. People move weird. The faces look weird. I think objectively it looks worse than 3.
Yes.
That said, I am having a lot of fucking fun.
Yeah.
I am having a ton of fun with both the multiplayer and single player. I actually just got done playing a couple of multiplayer matches with our good friends Duck, Jesse, and Victorian. It was so much fun. And I was doing silver matches with my level 1 engineer. Kept getting a female engineer, and so she had 10 points already at level 1 just because I kept getting her over and over in packs. So I'm like, okay, I will try this out. She's a little strange, and I can't wait to get someone like my adept in multiplayer where I can pull and then push Vader style. So I really want that, and apparently that's an ultra rare multiplayer character. But anyway, the point is I've been having a ton of fun, and with the campaign is interesting. Like, I can't talk about what is interesting about it. It's just fucking, it's grabbed me, and now I want to see where this is going. There are a couple of spots where I'm not sure if it was the Andromeda Initiative being stupid or if it'll be explained later, but there are things that are intriguing me, and I can't wait to see them resolved.
Yeah. I think that I agree. I've enjoyed playing the game immensely. Like, every spare moment, like, even like I tend to be kind of person who wants to be in bed by 10. But ever since the game came out, I've been like playing till midnight or later, even last night. And one of the cool things I love about it, most of all, the exploration dynamic. I love it. I mean, I know it's gotten some feedback one way or the other, but as it fits the Explorer mythos really well, and really, I think the animations done for that are gorgeous. Like, it looks Andromeda looks beautiful as far as the planets go, and as far as seeing stuff like black holes and comets.
The fucking black hole solar system, where it's like sitting right there, and then you can go up to it, you can fly, and so here's a way to make yourself feel small via Mass Effect Andromeda. Fly to the black hole system, fly up to the black hole, and then exit to your galaxy map where it's just your bridge and you like Suvi and your pilot, and then take a look out that window. It is fucked up, and it is gorgeous, and like, honestly, it's like I'm sitting there looking at this black hole out my ship window, going, "Oh my fucking god, that's terrifying! This is awesome."
Yeah. Yeah, the vistas in it are really pretty. Definitely, I haven't played enough to really see a ton of different planets yet. I keep getting sidetracked. I tend to be the kind of person who, if I go somewhere and there's a couple of side quests as well as the main quest, I end up doing like all the side quest stuff. I tend to want to try to get a lot done in one area before I move to a different area, which Mass Effect doesn't always want me to do. It wants me to start the quest here and then go finish the quest over there and then do another part of the quest over there. So I keep getting stuck on the Nexus a lot. I go back to it and it's just like, oh yeah, I need to go talk to everybody here, and everyone's moved and there's shit going on, and oh, now I need to go to these 3 different I'm having fun with it, but there's a couple of annoying pain points that are driving me nuts, and maybe I'll get past them. The Mako, what's the new thing called?
The Nomad.
The Nomad.
I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it. Friend of the show, Izzy, has just kind of gotten into that portion of the campaign where she's using the Nomad, and we were kind of talking about it. I don't understand why mechanically you have a vehicle for a game that you have a vehicle with 2 gear shafts. That's not a driving game.
Well, it takes some getting used to. At first I hated it. At first I couldn't get it to go where I wanted to go. It took me a while to get the hang of it. I kind of like the gear shifts. I think it forces you to strategize how you're going to go up a mountain. I think it's definitely an improvement over, I guess, was it the Hammerhead or the Mako? The Mass Effect 1 one? That was terrible.
Mako.
The Mako? I would take the Mako. I would fucking take the Mako.
The Nomad is fiddly, and when it's not in the whatever the gear is to climb things that makes it slower, I'm in that all the time, because if I put it into the faster gear and I try to turn a little bit, I am suddenly in a rock. Like, I cannot get that thing to it has no lag with its turn, which seems like it would be a good thing, except it also is super fiddly. So you move your stick just a little bit, and I have died so many times unintentionally heading off of cliffs into water that kills you, because I was just like, oh, I want to go this way. So I've just gotten used to having that thing in the climbing gear.
No.
Fuck that thing.
Oboe, I'm so sorry. God.
Fuck that thing.
Sounds
now,
awful.
I see that there is, like, if there's a straightaway or something, I'll drop down and zoom off. I do see that there are upgrades for it, which means one of two things. Either there's going to be an upgrade at some point that is going to make that thing better to handle, or there's going to be a whole bunch of upgrades that are not going to help at all. And both options are going to piss me the fuck off.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I am so, like, the Mako was a little annoying, but you could play a ton of this of Mass Effect 1 and not really use the Mako that much. You beamed down to planets, or went down to and then basically the main area you went to was pretty much it. You could use the Mako once or twice in some of the story missions, and then, like, if you wanted to go way off track. But really, the Mako was not, unless you did a ton of exploring, the Mako wasn't, like, hardcore, you had to do it a lot.
Well, you did.
In this game,
I mean, every mission had some sort of Mako aspect to it.
Well, just the planetary landings.
And
if you wanted to, you could go straight to whatever you were on the planet for and just do that. Yeah. And every planet had, like, I think 3 or 4 different things that you could go do if you wanted. Or you could just go do the one thing and then you'd be done with it. So in that aspect, yes, you could minimize the Mako use. I, on the other hand, was like, is that a blip on the radar? It's a blip on the radar. I gotta go check it out. So I used the Mako a fucking lot. And I gotta say, you could do some amazing things with the Mako. The jump sniping with the cannon was a particular favorite of mine.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that you don't start off with weapons on the.
That annoys me too.
Hopefully, you'll be able to upgrade and buy it. Yeah, I don't mind.
You cannot roadkill shit.
Yes, you can.
Or at least I haven't been able to.
You can.
Yeah.
I've run into stuff and it's done that. Maybe this is a glitch, but it's done that weird fun thing, and where instead of splattering it or running it over, it, like, bounces off my car and goes off to the side. I'm like, screw you, no. I have a how many ton vehicle?
I have a clip that I recorded of me murdering a ket camp with nothing but the Nomad, and it was just me, like. I was doing strafing runs on it, so I'd come onto the camp, I'd be like, haha, by prey, and then I'd boost into the fuckers, I'd kill a couple, I'd swing back around, and then come at them again, boost, kill a few more, and I don't do it often because it's kind of annoying to do it that way, but just to prove a point to myself and to the fucking ket, I've done it.
What do you guys think of the mining metric, or what word am I looking for? The dynamic.
I don't like
in
it
there.
It hasn't been explained well enough to me yet that I really understand what's going on.
So basically, what you need to do is, while you're driving around on your Nomad, you hit the right D-pad, and that'll bring up your mining deal. And it's the same sort of thing as 2, where it's got the probe and it's got the different elements and how much of it it's finding. So once you do that, and you start seeing something creep up, you hit RB, and it'll drop a mine on it. And then that's it. That's all you do.
And then that's all you okay.
Like
because,
I
the
was
tutorial
super
one
confused.
That it had me do kept wanting me to go and like interact with the mining laser for some reason. I'm like, I don't what's going
No,
on?
you don't have to do that at all. Like all you do
Okay.
is you drop it, and then like I thought it was costing me resources with every probe. No, the probes are free. And so you can only drop one in a certain area, and it shows you that area like this big lit circle on the ground. So once you drop it, then that's it for that area. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like it, because since at least for me right now the environment is hazardous, so I can only stay out for a limited amount of time. I don't want to be fiddling around trying to find the best mining spot. I just want to be like, hey, here's this place is mineable. Boop. Okay, you've mined. Great. I think the fiddly was fine when you had an entire planet in scanning, and from everything I've heard from people who played Mass Effect 2, that wasn't fine with anyone. But I'm just saying, in comparison, it's fine. That actually leads me to my opinion on the exploration aspects. It's pretty dumbed down, I think. Like, I felt like I was exploring more of the Milky Way by having to visit planets and scan them. What's up?
Oh, Jenga just had a breakdown.
Okay.
It's all right. We'll get him back shortly.
Yeah. But anyway, so I don't like that it is so... like you basically can go through an entire system really quick. I think if it were hardcore wanting you to explore, it would be more like 2, where you're like visiting every planet and looking for every little fucking resource in its thing, like and then you're just feeling you're like feeling oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. And it was like that. With this, on the one hand, there's part of me that appreciates the simplicity, like how easy it is to get that done. But on the other hand, this is supposed to be a brand new galaxy, and I would launch dozens of probes at one planet. I don't think I've launched a dozen probes in Andromeda so far.
Yeah.
And it's a new fucking system.
I have to go shortly, and Luke is getting ready to come take my place, but I have one more thing that I have to talk about. So Mass Effect there's a lot of key things to a Mass Effect game, and I think one of the things that everybody looks forward to or knows about or makes fun of is the romance options in a BioWare game. I was kind of blown away when all of a sudden romance started to happen, because it was super quick. You got done with EOS, you collected. I have almost all of the squad together. I'm missing one guy who I'm sure will show up shortly. I did my pass around the ship as we were heading back to the Nexus, talking to everybody. And I might be wrong. I might be misremembering this. But I seem to remember in all the other Mass Effect games, you had at least some dialogue, at least some amount of time with your team of just talking to them and getting to know them before any flirting options came up. And then you could kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm.
I encountered people who, characters who I'd only ever met on the field and were now on my ship. We just had our first team meeting. I hadn't even really found out anything about them. And in the radial wheel of options, I had flirting options.
There's the heart.
With everybody.
Yes.
Which, for fun, because I didn't really know anybody yet, I'm like, I'm just going to flirt with fucking everybody. And then Mass Effect Andromeda did this interesting thing, which I am not sure if I appreciate or not. The characters that don't swing your direction just tell you it outright. I'm playing as a female, and I'm just romancing anyone and everybody, and we'll see what the hell happens. I have a character or two that I'd rather go for, and some that I don't care about at all.
Who don't you care about? Before we go on, who don't you care about?
Most of the humans.
Okay. All right.
I'm very quickly going to have Vera and the Krogan in my party like the whole time. But yeah, like, so the two characters who I went to go romance, who both were like, hey, listen, I don't swing that way, like right away. Okay, at least they're obvious about it. And then everybody else is just like, hey, you're flirting with me. This is awesome. I'm like, I don't even know you.
I think I liked that, because I think what it does is it's very natural. Like, if I meet someone that I like, even if it's just like as a friend, I'm gonna flirt with them a little bit. Like, not like, hey, I want no, hold on. But I'm not saying I want to bone you right now. That's not what I would be saying at all. But like, sometimes you have a rapport with someone, and sometimes that rapport, it's not emotional, it's not logical, or whatever the symbols mean on the radio wheel these days.
Yeah,
it's a little flirty. And I think that's fine. Like, I am actually okay with that because it is the very beginning. I found a flirty option on a place I landed, and I did not expect it. It was literally with someone I had just met, and I could flirt with them. And I was just like, okay, you asking me to flirt with this is...
interesting.
Is asking a little much of me. Like, I've not even flirted with my male companions, and I probably should, just to try it out, just to see what they say. But I have flirted with everyone.
Okay, so you get to flirt with Luke now. I'm gonna mute myself, and we're gonna swap out, and I will see you next week because I have to go and play a rehearsal. So
tell him to be quick, because since we're missing Jack, it's just me vamping.
I know. It will take 30 seconds at least. So you'll have to vamp.
All right, vamping for right now. So yes, to sort of tie off the Mass Effect talk, and we may hit on it again once Jack is back. I am thoroughly enjoying the game. I think it is, so far, it is interesting. It is beautiful in some ways. The animation, it's so weird that the animation is so off, especially when it was so fucking on point in the previous games. And I will be the first to admit, I don't know anything about development and who developed what and where offices are. I don't know anything about that. It says BioWare made it, as far as I'm concerned. I don't understand why those parts of the game are so lacking. And some some mechanical aspects of the game are really strange. All that said, it has managed to actually have a few emotional moments that I have appreciated, and I won't go into it because it is a little bit spoily, and they are moments that are fun to find on its own. But all that said, we have a Luke McKay.
Hey, John.
How is it going? It's been a while.
It has been. How you been?
I have been here. I have been playing games. I've been playing tons of D&D. And from what I hear, you've watched Iron Fist.
Yeah. So have you watched some of it?
I made it to episode 8 before I gave up.
Oh, you made it all the way to 8.
Oh, wait, how far did you make it?
Oh, I made it all the way to the end. It's like with all the comic book movies, pretty much any comic book movie there is, I will power through no matter what. Trying to think of the worst comic book movie I've seen. Suicide Squad comes to mind, but
Suicide Squad was pretty fucking bad. But at least Suicide Squad was, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and it was done. Fucking Iron Fist is 13 hours.
Yep, and here's the best thing I got to say about Iron Fist. Big spoiler, there is nothing I can spoil. Nothing actually happens in the show. So you stop watching at episode 8.
Yeah.
Really, you can stop watching anywhere because by the end, nothing happens. And that was probably one of the biggest letdowns of the show. Just like there was lots of things we were all looking for. And a lot of times Marvel movies, comic book stuff, you're looking for like, oh, I read this in the comic and I hope this happens. Sometimes it doesn't happen. It's like, it's okay. But this is like part of a series to build up to Defenders, and just nothing happened to build up Defenders at all. Or even if it was to be
having Claire in was the only thread that tied it to everything else. That and having Hogarth there, and then having it in New York City. And that was it. Like,
yeah,
there was no, like, one of the more frustrating things was, and again, I think we can spoil it because who the fuck cares?
No, there's really nothing you can spoil. I can tell you this about Iron Fist.
Nothing
of consequence really happened. That was the the big problem.
I did watch the very end, like the last moment where you find out that Kung Lung isn't there for some reason, and there are a bunch of guys that are dead. But what I was expecting was, like at the end of Captain America, right before Avengers came out, there was this extended preview of Avengers. And it was really the first preview we had gotten of Avengers. Like the first time we had gotten a look at all these characters coming together and like Iron Man shaking hands with Bruce Banner and stuff like that. And that was cool. And we got none of that in Iron Fist. What's baffling to me is like, there's one part where they're trying to fight the Hand, which is what they're trying to fucking do the entire show. Claire mentions, I have friends. And then Colleen Wing says, you can't do this alone. Well, guess what? Why doesn't Claire call up her fucking friends and say, hey, there's shit going down and it's bad? I mean, why? It would be no sweat off Jessica Jones's brow to fight those dudes.
And here's the thing with Iron Fist too, like Jessica Jones had Luke Cage in it predominantly.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah, this is great. And then Iron Fist is coming out. It's like, oh, of course Luke Cage is going to be in this too, because Iron Fist and Luke Cage are like, I'm crossing my fingers to say, hey, they're together. But yeah, not even a mention of Luke Cage, like hardly at all. Like he should have been like in half the episodes from what I imagine. It's like just one of those things like, okay, this is the build to Defenders, and Iron Fist, Luke Cage have always been the heroes for hire. It's just
right. Yeah. I don't know. Like that is an excellent point. And I understand that, spoiler alert for Luke Cage, at the end he goes to jail. Now, this seems like if you're going to start tying things together, instead of spending time in Defenders figuring out how Luke Cage got out of jail, why not address it in Iron Fist? Like you said, Luke Cage and Iron Fist are the heroes for hire. That it would be a natural team up for both of them. And it would, like I said, it would save time from dealing with it in Defenders. Then you could be like, okay, Defenders is focused on Defenders things.
Yeah, so I will really say, like, wait for Defenders. It comes out in November, I think.
I think it's November, yeah.
I think it's in November, but yeah, like, if you have time, go ahead, watch Iron Fist. At the end, there is some better kung fu with Davos. Like Davos shows up and he does some kung fu, but really for the big kung fu adventure, like from the 70s, this is not it.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I think when you have a series like Luke Cage, and I keep comparing it to Luke Cage for a very specific reason, and that's because when Luke Cage got made, they said, you know what? Yes, we're a Marvel Netflix series, so there'll be some things and some aesthetics that we have to adhere to. But aside from that, everything else is going into this blaxploitation tribute that we're going to spend 13 hours in. None of the Marvel series I think, have been strong enough for 13 episodes. I think they're much better suited to 10. Maybe even like 7 or 8, like Stranger Things. But that's fine. This is what we're getting. But at least Luke Cage had sort of an arc that followed it and a flow. And each episode was this tribute to Luke Cage, to the era that Luke Cage was made in, and some of the music that Luke Cage that's kind of surrounded that culture. And it was great because it was a celebration and it went all out. Iron Fist never goes on all out on anything. It's solidly in the middle of everything and suffers for it, when it totally should have been like a Shaw Brothers 70s kung fu just extravaganza. Like they should have embraced that shit, owned it, and then said, you know what, this is what we're doing.
Actually, I will say there was the one episode that did feel a little bit like the old kung fu shows, and that was the one directed by the RZA.
Yes, yeah.
So did you see that episode?
I did.
Yeah, like go up to that episode and then pretty much you're done. Like really, yeah, they did some some film editing tricks, like, you know, where they put like the bars in the screen, like, you know, like, oh, here's one thing happening here, here's one thing happening here, all on the same screen at the same time. Do you remember, like basic kind of 70s?
Right. No. And the thing is, it's like someone was saying that that one of the reasons why the Kung Fu isn't good is because you would be asking a lot of Finn Jones. And I say, one, then don't fucking hire Finn Jones. Hire someone who does Kung Fu. Or, guess what? Keanu Reeves didn't do Kung Fu either. And he looked okay in The Matrix. He didn't look great, but he looked all right. And it was exciting.
Like, mind you, because Keanu Reeves, he worked hard. He worked hard at it. But yeah, oh man, I almost say watch episode 1 of Iron Fist just to see the one scene of wire work that's just terrible when he flips over the cab.
Oh yeah,
very first episode. Oh my god, that that show really had a hard time cutting its teeth. That was like some bad stunts right there at the beginning. But this was also really interesting in just all these Marvels, like of the movies and the TV show. This was their first real bomb, when we've kind of always been expecting one of the shows to bomb. We're going Ant-Man, oh my god, Paul Rudd, no, this show's gonna suck. It's no, it was good. Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, here's a raccoon, talking raccoon. Oh, this is gonna suck. Hey, it's good.
Well, with Guardians of the Galaxy, I had a lot of faith in James Gunn because I loved Slither. And I saw Super later, and I didn't really much care for it, even though it's kind of the same deal. But Slither, it was this early 2000s horror movie with Nathan Fillion, and it's phenomenal. It's hilarious and it's terrifying. And as soon as they said James Gunn is directing Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm like, I'm sold. It is. I think he can do a good job, and he did. This, with Iron Fist, it's a C-level property alongside Ant-Man and actually sort of Jessica Jones and Daredevil. I mean, both of those books, I'm not a comic book guy, but I get the impression that they've only sort of had a recent rejuvenation because of the series that's getting ready to come out. Luke Cage, actually, it's because of Jessica Jones that he got brought back into prominence and was sort of modernized in the comic universe anyway.
It was about 10 years ago. 10 years ago that Matt Fraction took over Iron Fist. Yeah. And he wrote the Immortal Iron Fist. And it's so strange. When I went to watch this show, I was thinking oh, this is going to happen because this has happened in the comics. And all I could really remember was the stuff from the last 10 years. All the early stuff was just completely forgot from my memory, because the most recent Iron Fist comics have been the best ones. When Matt Fraction was writing them. Yeah. Immortal Iron Fist. Yeah. Just that added a lot of the mythos to the character. Just the whole fact of there being other Iron Fists, there being the Book of the Iron Fist, all these other kind of powers of the Iron Fist all kind of came out in that series, where before, in the 70s and 80s, he really was just a one punch guy. It's hey, I got a one punch, that's all, and I can do kung fu, and that was it. They kind of kept him pretty basic, but they really developed him in the Immortal Iron Fist. But nothing, I don't think there was anything from the Immortal Iron Fist that showed up in the TV show at all.
And it's interesting because it seems like with Luke Cage, not only did they take some of the more Jessica Jones-esque interpretations of Luke Cage, but they also took some new turns based on current events. Luke Cage was a black man wearing a hoodie who couldn't get shot, or who could survive getting shot a lot. That's pretty...
They wrote a whole new story for Luke Cage, the TV show.
Yeah.
Just the whole him walking down the streets and I save the people, and just kind of...
And that's great, because that is so aware. That is taking that character and not making him in a vacuum. That's being hey, this is stuff that's going on. Let's make a statement about it in this Marvel property. And like I said, there are things, when you make a Marvel series or Marvel movie, there are things you have to do. Edgar Wright couldn't do those. That's why he didn't make Ant-Man. But you know what? What the Ant-Man we got was still good. It was still fine. And then on the other side of it, you have things like Luke Cage. That's okay, this is not only aware and good and different, but it has those things. And when you look at a movie like Winter Soldier, that's a legit good movie that even is even more intertwined with its Marvel connections, which is fine. Though that's just because something is inherently associated with the the greater universe or whatever, like Iron Man 2 was, in that case, it hurt it. It hurt it a lot. With Age of Ultron, that hurt it a lot because of the studio meddling. But that's fine. You still got okay stuff out of there. With Iron Fist, it's just so bland. And I think that's its biggest failing, is that it's just super mediocre. Nothing about it rises above.
Yeah, and it was I think it was just such a waste opportunity because, I mean, when's the last time you've seen something that was like, Bruce Lee style kung fu? Like, I can't think of anything in like the last 10, 15 years. It was that kind of really good kung fu movie.
And the thing is, it's like, let's say you want to get away from that. Let's say you're like, you know what? We don't want to do a 70s Kill Bill / Bruce Lee tribute with Iron Fist. Okay, fine. The Raid. I was blown away by the martial arts in The Raid. And I get it's a different sort of deal. But, like, it's not like I'm so disillusioned that I've seen so much martial arts stuff that nothing impresses me. No, fuck that. The Raid fucking impressed me. And I was ready to be impressed by whatever Iron Fist gave me. And you know what? It gave me nothing.
Yeah, like Daredevil. Daredevil season 1 and 2. By episode 2, we had seen like the big action scene, like
exactly
the hallway fight and the stairwell fight. Those were just like, all right, guys, we're gonna put some serious action into a TV show like that belongs in a movie. And just no.
And so that is an excellent point, because Daredevil is not really known for his martial arts. He's a brawler and all that. But then you had one of the most talked about martial arts and stunt scenes in TV in a while within the first 3 episodes of Daredevil.
Yeah.
And guess what happened with the fucking series that's all about Kung Fu? Nothing.
Oh, man. Actually, and I was kind of hoping that I could almost see like, hey, doing big Kung Fu kind of like action is incredibly difficult. Like just making that, so if they were going to like go, hey, we can't afford huge choreography scenes in this, like, yeah, you know what, that's going to suck, but oh well. But then it's like, hey, we're riding right off the coattails of Doctor Strange, and we have a hero with mystic powers. Just go nuts with his mystic powers then. And nothing. He used one mystic power once. Where
that's another.
He healed a little cut.
Yeah, that's another really, really good point, because at this point in the Marvel Universe, we've bought into a lot of shit. And I think that was a credit to Doctor Strange, where even though you had already had cosmic shit with Thor and also magic shit with Thor, that then Guardians of the Galaxy came along, did different cosmic shit, and it felt different. And then at the same time, you had Doctor Strange coming along, and that did different magic shit, and it felt different and was fun. And it was distinctive. Like, Thor kind of like did kind of them both, and then Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange separated out, and it was good. It was fine. And yeah, I think asking the audience to buy Danny Rand and his mystic powers is fine at this point. It's not a stretch. It's okay. And I think that's something that the Marvel Netflix series kind of suffer from, is that they want to stay grounded, but you're in the Marvel universe. I feel like just as a whole, I wish the series owned that a little bit better. Like, especially in Jessica Jones, when she would refer to some of the Avengers, she would never say the words Captain America. She called him like the flag waver or something, and then she referred to like the green one or something like that.
Yeah, they always refer to the incident. The
New
York
fucking
incident.
Hell, no! Talk about the Avengers. Their tower is over there. You can see it from Hell's Kitchen.
Like, Iron Fist should have at some point walked by Doctor Strange's place in New York.
I'm flailing for the audio listeners. I'm flailing.
And so the Defenders kind of little intro video that they have says that Defenders starts right at the end of Iron Fist, and it's like, I'm going, okay, I guess, but like they say, yep, like the moment Iron Fist ends is the moment Defenders starts, and the Danny Rand starts the Defenders. Like he brings the team together. I'm like, really? Okay.
Why?
He was literally in the mountains at the end of the show, like going.
I mean, unless fucking Doctor Strange portals through and says, "Hey, Danny, I need you back in New York ASAP." How does that happen? I don't get it. That's actually does not put a whole lot of faith in me for Defenders. Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, they have been saying to look for a lot of like cameos in the Defenders show. That like they have the 4 main characters, but expect like kind of like a cameo per show. And I would love if they did like, you know, hey, Doctor Strange walks through, or Captain America, or it's any of the other Marvel movie people just kind of walk into the show. But I will say this: so we got a lot more Marvel movies still coming up still. And after watching this one, I'm kind of getting back to that feeling of like, oh, wow, Marvel can make mistakes. What about the next movie? Like, will Guardians of the Galaxy 2 be good? I don't know. And
I think the only way it'll be bad is if they don't let James Gunn make the movie that he wants. I think as long as James Gunn is happy with the movie and is doing, hey, this is what I want to do with this group of characters. They're my group of characters. It'll tie in. I promise you'll get a little thing for Infinity Wars. That's fine. But here is my story. I think as long as that's happening, Guardians of the Galaxy will be fine. It may not be as good as the first one. I think the first one may have been lightning in a bottle, but we'll see. At this point, I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to Guardians of the Galaxy. Spider-Man is a little bit like, I have not seen the newest trailer, and I don't plan to, because everyone I know that has seen it has said it shows too much. Too much is shown.
Yeah, I would say they do show a lot. Yeah, I would say like.
Oh, don't say like that. All you have to say is it showed a lot. We can stop
like
it there.
It's like a 3-minute long trailer. Like it's a lot of time, and they put a lot of dialogue into it. Like they're talking all about the movie, like in the trailer. Like it's like, wow. And quite often I do like when a lot of have been pleasantly surprised when I have seen trailers like that where I think I've seen too much. It's like, oh, that was all just the first 5 minutes, and this movie is huge now. And I'm not too worried about that. Like the trailer seemed to be okay. Like it did seem like there was a lot in it, and probably maybe a little bit of spoilers, but
yeah, and that's why it's like, okay, it's because Luke, I understand that you probably won't, but every time you keep talking, it's like. It sounds like he's gonna say something, and I would really just like him to stop and just leave it. Oh my god!
I think I've gotten pretty good about like a couple times when like talking about something, how to not be spoilerish, but to say things like that.
It's just like, scary. Like, it feels like you're spoiler adjacent.
I know. Yeah, it does feel like to say like, yeah, it does feel like there's a lot in it. It was 3 minutes long. Like that spoils nothing.
I understand. It's just
trailer
like I said, we can leave it at it shows too much, and then that's it. But then
one thing with Iron Fist here, it does kind of feel like you can feel like a lot has gone on with Marvel, like with the TV shows and the movies, and this is kind of a big feeling of like, you know what, it's kind of winding down. It is starting to run out a bit of its steam, and just I guess there's maybe a bit of the fatigue in a movie and TV series this big, and this like nothing's been this big,
right?
Like in movies and TV connected together, I can't think of anything even comparable.
And I think so. Once we get past Defenders and past of Infinity War
and Ragnarok.
Well, no. So hold on. So the point is that we are running up to one of the reasons why we have 3 Marvel movies this year is because we're running up to Infinity War. And then once Infinity War comes out, we still have Ant-Man and the Wasp, we still have Black Panther, we still have Captain Marvel. We're not getting an Inhumans movie, thank God. They're just doing the TV series. But what I'm saying is, what the point is like after all of this, after 2019, I would hope that after Infinity Wars Part 2 that we get a break. Like they go back to a Marvel movie a year. Maybe 2 if we're running up to whatever else event we're going to be doing. I don't even know what it would be, and I don't want to speculate. But
and you know what? Let even some of the other studios play around. Like Sony is pitching the Venom movie.
Yeah,
you hear about that? Yeah, and they're speculating. Oh, it'll be a rated R film because Logan and
Deadpool, yeah,
Deadpool did so well, and
so, I don't know. I'm kind of I don't know what I would want from Marvel after Infinity Wars, because I like all of this has been leading to that, and then it's sort of like, well, then what? I don't want to see reboots anytime soon. I think maybe they could do like what the comics are doing, where they get new people into these roles, like on the X-Men front, you have a X-23 movie, which I think after Logan is pretty viable. You could have Riri Williams as Iron Man. You know, have a new Iron Man movie. Have that be sort of the reboot after Infinity Wars. And I think you get some of that. But anyway, that's what I would want for the future, at least for this year. I think the Marvel movie that is in the most danger of being the next Iron Fist is Ragnarok. And just because they're going with such a different kind of take on it, like with all the promotional material, it's all these like 80s glam rock kind of stuff, like all like synthwave kind of art, that sort of thing. I think especially with the director Taki Waititi. I'm totally butchering that, and I apologize. He has said he is making a different Thor movie. It is a about face on just about every kind of Marvel movie. And I'm kind of okay with that. Because given what he's done in the past.
Yeah, and that's probably a place you can do it. Like, because Thor's like so outer space, and they're going to be doing a Planet Hulk thing, and that whole mixed together. But yeah, I think a break, or just like or some movies just on like characters outside the continuum, like a Submariner movie or something. I don't know. Or
do a Quicksilver movie. Oh no, no.
But yeah, actually, it would. I think the movies have caught up to the comics so quickly. I think the comics need to write something big now, because
I don't know that they need to. I'm like I said, I'm not a comic guy, and fortunately, our comic guy is here now. But from everything I've heard about like Civil War II, it was just super unnecessary. I don't know, Jack. Maybe you can illuminate us on that.
Well, I haven't really read comics in a while, but I have been keeping up with the storylines and reading the synopses or whatever. And it seems like they've kind of hit like a kind of creative. I don't know what the word looking for, like a snag or a snafu. Like I feel like after like close to 20 strong years from like the late 90s, the 2000s were on fire with stories like the original Civil War, House of M, all that stuff. And then after like 2012, 2013, I think they're just kind of lagging behind the movies. Like Civil War II was kind of lackluster. They have the whole Captain America as a Nazi storyline, which I think has caused a lot of controversy. That the guy that punched Hitler in the face has been Hydra this whole time. It's going to take a while. I think they hit that same rut that they hit in like the mid 90s. So it may take some time for them to actually reset the button, like figure things out, and then maybe make some new characters. Maybe don't rely on characters that have been around for 40 years.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, Marvel could use some new classic characters. Like, I wouldn't know what it is. Like just a new character and someone to give them a big push. Like I think Superman, he was barely a comic book for like less than 10 years before he got his first animated show. Like now you got to have like a running comic series for like 10, 15, 20 years before you get any kind of like thing on television or movies.
Well, I think Superman's so unique though. He's basically the first superhero. So yeah. I think it was kind of obvious the need to make him either animated or to do live action stuff or radio play. I think I'm pretty sure there was a Superman radio show at some point.
Yeah, I remember the first Batman movie serial came out in 47. I think it was 40. No, it was 47. Yeah, I think it was like 1947. And so it was like only like 7 or 8 years after the comic had first even shown up. and then they're already making like a TV show about it or movie serial like they had back then, just a few years later. But yeah, I would love to see like someone just come up with a new character, run it for a year or two, and then just have like a big studio like Marvel or DC go like, we're doing a big push with this new character. And just,
I mean, that kind of happened with Kick-Ass to an extent. Like, he wasn't a comic character that long before they made the movie.
that is true. Yeah, they signed the movie deal before they finished the first series of comics.
Wow, it makes sense. I mean, the concept, it seems like you're just far enough into the superhero movie like series that it kind of makes sense to try and do a more quote unquote realistic approach.
Yeah, and Kick-Ass the Kick-Ass was very much drawn like a storyboard. It really did feel like that. Like it felt like it was ready for the movies as soon as it was made. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of like graphic novels, like that's sort of their backdoor movie pilots if you think about it.
That's how I make my comics.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So when is the Balls to That movie coming out?
The Balls to That movie, starring. Oh, jeez.
Who is your balls, Luke?
Yeah,
Who is your
fantasy
balls?
casting.
Oh my God, fantasy casting for balls? Oh man. Jeez. I don't know, some young prick, I guess.
Yeah, they're all like
All right. What about
someone born in 1995 or later.
what about Mustard? Who's your fantasy Mustard?
Who's my fantasy mustard?
That okay. I realize that may be the wrong way to ask that question, but I stand by my phrasing.
It'd probably have to be animated. I think, like, I definitely know the people who I want to voice.
Okay.
Also that. I want Paula Aguilera to voice Mustard, and I want Craig McDermott to voice Balls. There's some people up in Vancouver I've talked to, and they've actually pitched voices at me. I'm like, oh yeah, you guys got the voice, and all I have to do is animate it.
They sound like. I mean, if you're doing like a Hollywood blockbuster kind of thing with Balls to That, I mean, Aubrey Plaza's Mustard kind of makes sense.
Ooh.
It's funny. I was actually at a developers conference at work, and they talked about a Fortune article where they talk about the most famous Delawareans, people from Delaware. And you would think former Vice President Joe Biden would be at the top of that list. No, Aubrey Plaza. She's number one.
Yeah.
And I don't even care who you would cast as Balls. Like, I'm trying to think who would do the even remotely justice.
I feel like Luke is uniquely qualified to that because everyone has in their head what Balls sounds like, but really his is the only one that counts.
That's true.
And that is one thing I hardly do. Like, I really did not know what they would sound like until I heard someone say something like that. And then I was like, kind of over here, like, hey, say that again. Oh, that could be it. Like, it is really weird to work with just text and not think about an audio cue to it.
Well, Luke, we've got a few minutes left, so I understand that you have some questions from your patron people.
Actually, we pretty much did answer them all while we were talking. Most folks just wanted to know about Iron Fist. Like,
okay.
What? Like, because a lot of people ask, like, hey, I didn't watch it all the way through. Should I continue watching? To which the answer is, like,
no.
You don't have to. No.
Did you start watching it? Stop.
No, like, it does get better. Truly, it does get better. Like, the beginning is really rough, and it does get better, but it doesn't get so good that, like it really has no spoilers. Like, it's so strange to see, like, a whole series go through and, like, oh, what's going to be the big thing at the end? It's like, nothing. Oh,
literally nothing. Literally nothing at the end. That is the big thing.
Yeah. Just it ended up being more about the side characters at the end than the actual Iron Fist. Like his friends at Rand Enterprises, which was.
I mean, honestly, my favorite part was Hogarth and him calling Hogarth J Money. that was pretty fucking funny. But that's it, and that's only because
you're G Money.
That's only because I love watching Carrie-Anne Moss walk around in a suit. That woman is so well put together.
Yes. Oh man, worth breaking the first rule of Omega.
Yeah, shout out to the local homegirl. So Carrie-Anne Moss, she's from the Vancouver area. Actually.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, I actually found a young actor who might do a really good job playing Balls. He's an aspiring actor and director. I don't know if you recognize him or not.
Holy shit! Oh my god!
For the audio listeners, that is Jesse Cowell.
I would love to put Jesse Cowell in the Balls costume. That would be. Oh, that would look so good.
Next time. I will say I wanna end by saying that I did see Power Rangers over the weekend.
Oh, I have heard so much people like just loving that. I'm quite surprised.
I did like it. Okay, so it is very uneven. It starts out as one movie. In the middle, it's sort of another movie, and then it morphs, wink, into something completely different. It's hella uneven as far as tone goes, and it's almost jarringly uneven. That said, the beginning part, for what it is, does do a good job of letting you know these kids and making them beyond what they were in the TV show, and that's good. And then when it kicks into full Power Ranger mode, I fucking loved that. I loved when it just was like, you know what? All this grounded realism and stuff, fuck it. We're Megazords. And it's like the Zord fight was actually pretty cool. Like there was even a moment in the movie that kind of reminded me of something you might see in Mass Effect, which was like very surprising. I'm like, wow, I am feeling things in this, and it's not just nostalgia. So I would say, if you are a fan of Power Rangers, if you watched any of Twitch Presents the Power Rangers weekly marathon, then you will probably like this movie just fine. It's not going to blow you away. It's not going to be Logan. It's not going to be anything like that, but it is a good time with Zords.
Real quick, before we go, I did watch Logan over the weekend, and I thought it was fantastic. I know I'm a little late to the party, but my wife and I watched, and it was kind of great. Like, it wasn't a perfect movie, but definitely it was the best of the Logan, the Wolverine trilogy, I think. And Patrick Stewart, man, just steals every scene he's in. And the actress who played Laura, X-23, is just... she's going to be around for a while. She's here to stay. I mean, we're going to see her getting her Academy Award in like 10, 15 years.
I don't know about that, but I think as long as she's in fun roles and if she gets the chance to continue with X-23, if she continues to grow that role and not just, hey, I'm X-23 and stuff, as long as she continues to put on a good performance, and when she's older, put on a performance that's appropriate for an older X-23, then I think that's the most that we can ask of her. And I think that's fine. That if all we get is a great X-23 movie in 5 years, wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, they seem to hint that they might be able to do a spinoff of a certain superhero franchise. I'm not going to spoil too much about it, but like they definitely lay the seeds for that.
I will say that hearing Patrick Stewart saying "fuck off" almost every other line was just heartwarming. It was great.
I heard I have not seen it yet, but I heard there was lots of great cussing.
Oh my god, it is great. It is. Some of it is legit sad. Like, there are. That's one of the best things about Logan is how it balances everything. You were talking about I was talking about the total shift in Power Rangers and how it's like, whoa, it's over here, and now it's over here, and whoa, it's over here. And I hit my mic, and that's going to be bad. I need to note when that is. But Logan manages to have some of those shifts, but does it much smoother, much more smoothly. It's really good.
Yeah. All in all, recommended by me, who may not have much opportunity to watch movies after a few months.
So John, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
How much can I sell you Jack's internet history for?
God.
I have a $5 in my wallet.
I'm looking to buy Bernie Burns right now.
Yeah, it's just gonna be like all sorts of old cartoons and questions about them. Like did Phaeton really die at the end of Exo Squad?
Oh my god. Wow. Wow.
That Raiders NFL realignment and
oh my god. Okay.
And just xenobites of naughty stuff. I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Don't do mine unless you really want to go down the hentai hole. You don't want to go down that hole.
God.
It's full of tentacles and naughty things. But I will say that there was a quote. We're gonna do a tiny bit of Glib Sports at the end, but how do I say this? Okay, I was having a talk with a friend, And I was talking about how even though she is not into sports, there are things I love about sports. Like, I love Russell Westbrook. He is playing his heart out. I love things like where athletes do good things. I love it when they get behind each other and pump each other up. I don't like it when murderers and domestic abusers are given chances to play again. And I also don't like it when the business is, hey, you've supported this team for 40 years. Well, guess what? Fuck you. We're going to Las Vegas. Because they'll build us a stadium. And I fucking hate that. It's one of my least favorite things about sports in general is that sense of entitlement that franchises have to hold a city hostage and say, hey, build us a stadium or we're leaving. And as much as I am sorry that Seattle had to do that, I admire them for doing that because, one, they stood up and we got a basketball team. But I hope that when it comes back down to it, that Oklahoma City says, nope, Oklahoma City Thunder, you are doing fine. If you want to build an arena, there's a plot of land you can buy over there. Have at it.
I don't think it's all on the Raiders organization, though. I mean, to be fair, the city of Oakland probably didn't put a viable thing to package together at any point. I mean, there's holes and stuff. They've had years and years to work on this stuff, and they've kind of dragged their feet on it. Like the previous mayor, Gene Kwan, really didn't care whether they came or went. And then Libby Shaw kind of worked on it, but they didn't have anything in place. And keep in mind, Mark Davis is one of the poorer, relatively poorer owners. He's not like a Robert Kraft guy. He's not a guy who owns the Dolphins. He doesn't have the money to build a stadium. Just flat out, he's one of the poorer owners. So it does suck for the franchise. I mean, I definitely agree that the Oakland fans didn't deserve this, and it sucks for them. If I were working in the NFL, I'd work on a deal where the Raiders' name stays in Oakland until they eventually get a franchise or someone moves there, the way they worked with the Browns like 20 years ago. A sad day for Oakland. Pretty good day for Vegas, I guess. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's a business decision. I don't think you had even though Las Vegas is a smaller market, Oakland could not really, the Raider franchise couldn't survive in that stadium for much longer.
I don't know. I think there are levels of surviving, and I think the fact that a franchise can't survive in a certain space is, I think that there's fundamental problems where you're having to tear down giant structures that are only 20 years old.
Yeah, but the Raiders franchise stadium was the oldest one. It's like 15
Well, I'm just saying that's the problem. It's like we're not going to have a coliseum to pass to future civilizations to say, oh, look at this wonder that the people of the Americas built. No, there's not going to be any of that. You know why? Because all of our coliseums are getting fucking torn down because someone else is building a slightly different one in a different city.
I mean, at the end of the day,
I go for a big marble coliseum.
Yeah, it's $750 million of government funds. It's unprecedented. No government has ever given that much money to
and that's the problem. It should be government funds.
$750 million from the state of Nevada to build this thing.
I am talking like Joel Heyman because this is driving me insane.
Well, if you ask Joel Heyman, the whole economy is in the process of tanking and will go tits up imminently. It's not long for this world. We'll have to have him on to talk about finance at some point. Busy guy though. Well, the proceeding has been a presentation of Glib Sports, I guess.
Guess.
Before we go, I want to thank Luke so much for joining us. We got to have you back on more often.
Oh, thank you. I really should get on here more often. I'm sitting next to Lauren quite often, just as she's recording, and I literally could just lean in.
So get yourself another mic. If you've got a nice little board there, just get yourself another XLR cable, and boom.
Yeah.
Actually,
two mic setup.
I got a mic.
Nice. Well, our sound producer is Jonathan Lauda Cerna.
Oh my God! You should see my levels at the end of this fucking show versus the more evened discussion about Iron Fist, and I got even a little shouty then. It's been a lot of shouting over here.
Yeah, so you may have heard some words at the beginning of our show. Those were read by Bob Ball, our announcer. You may have heard a little ditty, some music at the beginning and the end of our show. That's done by our good buddy Linnea Boyev. So thank you so much for spending another hour with us at Glib Shark. We know you have lots of podcast choices. We appreciate you choosing us. And if you like our show, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and relevant podcatchers. So on behalf of Lauren Urban, Jonathan Cerna, and the entire Glib Shark staff, this is Jack Edithil saying good night, good health, and this is a little bit late, but I want to sing anyway. San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Chargers. I wanted to hear a sad version of that song.